Well, here we go, it's the last one. We're going to do, on this one, we're going to do eyes, and the lips, earrings, buckles, hair beads, tattoos, sword, and the flask. So not much left, it should be nice and quick, and then we can go on to something else. So this one's completely finished. You'll just have to ignore these little scribble bits across the bottom of the clothes where we were trying things out on that one. So what we're going to start with is I'll just tell you the colours that I've used to finish this off so that you can get them ready if you want to. For the beads, I've gone with a, what's that one, Spring Green, 913. And the peacock green, which is 907. And for, let's see, for what, the eyes. Eyes, sienna brown again, that we used before. And this is mahogany red, 1029, using that for the lips as well. I seem to have, oh, okay, that's for the gold. Alright, so for the gold, that's on the sword, and the buckles, similar colours there, but I'm guessing that they're not meant to be gold, they're probably meant to be brass, but you'd want gold for that earring as well. Now just note that I pretty much suck at gold quite often, so I prefer silver. So yeah, that's not the greatest, but you know, what do you do? There's a little bit of, I've got peach as well, just to touch up a few areas in her eyes. Now, the silver on the sword, the silver on the flask, and I don't think there's any others. Just grab any pale grey and mid-grey that you've got. I used 20% cool grey and 70% cool grey for the silver, and I used the 70% cool grey for the tattoos. I don't think there's grey anywhere else. Oh yeah, look, there's just a little bit of grey shadow there in her eyes. You can use any grey for that one. Just grab a pale one. If you don't have one, then just go really, really lightly with black and rub it back with a pencil, a tad. And I think that's all we had to do. Just the buckles. That's it. So that's the finished one. I'm so in love with that hair. I'm loving that hair so much. And the water too. The water's come up really nice. So I'm just going to put her aside. And here's the one that's waiting to be finished. Let's start with the eyes. There are so many different ways to do eyes. I have a feeling, oh no, that's the colours I use. Start nice and sharp because they are a very small spot. There are so many different ways to do the eyes. Obviously, this is not the only way. This is just one of the ways. And it's a nice quick one. I'm just going to try and zoom that in so that you can see a little better. Or maybe I shouldn't because I'm probably going to do a bit of a... the zoom on here doesn't work. Okay, just close it down. Alright, sienna brown, this one. And with sienna brown, I'm just going to put a really light layer on those eyes. If you'll excuse the big bang for a second, I'll just zoom it down to the setting. That might be a little bit closer. Okay, like that too. How about that? So just a really light sienna brown. Like I said, you can. I just find that with my eyesight, that's way too small an area to go into much detail. So I'm going to just do a really quick way. So a light coat of brown in there. Now you also want to just, so you want the outside edge of this to be darker than the rest. And if you look closely at eyes, you see that they've got lots of little lines in it. So what I'm going to do, if I can find my, that wasn't very clever of me. If I can find my scrap bit. with the eye, I'm just going to go like a zigzag in from the edge rather than just colour it. So because it's such a small area, the zigzag will give you the lines that you want in the iris. It needs a really sharp pencil though, which I probably just blunted by doing that. And my sharpener is missing, so let's just muddle through this. So I'm just going only about halfway across the iris, which is why you need a nice sharp pencil. It doesn't really show up that well on the video there, so just extend some of those lines in a little bit. You want to keep it fairly light around where the pupil is. Alright, so let me just see if I can get that a bit closer for you. Oh, that whole spatial thing, I just can't do it. And you can maybe just make out the little marks there. Then, before I put the black in the centre, I'm just going to use the blender just to go over that very close to the outside edge. I don't want to go over it too close to the pupil because I want to keep that paler colour on the inner edge there of her eye. So I'm just looking at the camera to make sure that I haven't made it too stripy. Just here it seems to be coming out a little bit too stripy. Let's just do that. That's fine. A black, which I forgot to mention, obviously. Just fill those pupils in. If you want to, you can leave a white spot there, but I like to add that afterwards because it's too hard to colour around it sometimes. Now, you want a grey, just a nice pale grey. I've just grabbed warm grey. I tend to use the cool greys for the metals and the warm greys for the things on the body. The French greys are my favourite though. If you haven't got French greys, grab those, seriously, they are just awesome, especially if you're doing skulls. You can't go wrong using French grey for skulls. So what I'm doing now is just coming down about 2 or 3 mil from the eyelid into the white of the eye. Her eyes are actually quite small here, so you don't want to do too much, but you just do want to keep the white in there. So just do it on both sides. And then grab your blender again, just soften that off a bit, just so that you don't end up with stripy eyes. Okay, next thing for our eyes, just if you didn't do it before when you were doing the skin, I've just got the peach, which was the mid-tone that I used for the skin, and I'm just touching up these parts here. So the eyelids and I know that this has a name that's not eyelid and it's something really odd, but I can't remember what it is. Alright, and then those little bits in there, just darken them a little bit more. I have seen people bring that skin tone in just a tad in the corner of the eye. You can give that a shot. Can't hurt, can it? Oh, maybe it can. I think that's okay. So that's basically the colour of the eyes done. The other thing that I like to do lately is to add a bit of colour around the eyes, just a little bit of makeup. Now because of the hair colour and the eye colour, I would have normally gone with a green or something, but I think that might be a bit much for her. So what I like to do is to just shade whatever colour it is close to where the eyelashes are and take it out. And then just go up over here a little tiny bit and follow the eye line around. I don't know why, but I don't do this part. Now I know that looks really dark and you're probably thinking, what the ever loving hell are you doing? But just wait. So we whack that on, and over here as well, straight up to the hairline. I like to go just a little bit, so that's maybe 2 millimeters at most under the eye, probably about the same depth that the eyelashes go, and then just over the top here too. That looks terrible on the camera. Okay, Now we grab the blender again, keep it nice and sharp now. So what we're going to do is just rub that right in, and it does lighten it down and it blends it in. So just go right the way around. Obviously you do what you like here. If you don't like it quite as wide, keep it narrow. If you don't like the makeup part at all, then skip it. I just tried it once and then thought, yeah, that's not bad. So just see all the crumbs coming off now, because I'm actually pressing really hard and digging with that blender, so it's scraping up quite a bit of the wax from the pencil. There you go. So it just gives you can see the difference now between the blended one and the not blended one. It just gives you a little bit more of a, I don't know what you'd call it, just a thing around her eye. Let's just do a thing. I'll just do the same one here. You're really putting a lot of pressure now. If you're colouring straight into your book, make sure that you've got something in between the pages. Absolutely, definitely. Oh, look how different they are. You definitely need something between the pages if you're going to be doing something like this, because it's sharp, it's pointy, there's a hell of a lot of pressure on that. It's going to really screw up the picture on the next page. And it also pushes the print through, so like on the back of her in the book there's going to be some text about the picture on the next page. That'll actually press over onto your other page if you're not careful. Like I said, this is the first time I've done a Jasmine picture on paper. I usually do them straight into the book, so I'm really happy with how this is turning out just on shitty paper that I knocked off from work. Okay. I'm just noticing now on the camera that grey area in her eye is not really blended off too well. That's better. And same over here. It's just a little bit too blocky. Okay, I'm happy with those eyes. Now with her mouth, I decided to go with mahogany red. Mahogany red is kind of a brownish red. It's the one that I've just used around the outside of the eyes. So here's what her lips are going to look like. Just going to go along the seam of her lips here and darken that up just slightly on both sides. And what we're doing is we're leaving, it's almost like a white circle there and a white circle there, and just a little white ridge along the top. I used the tiniest touch of Posca just here on the arch of the lips, but I haven't done at the bottom there. All I've done is blended the red down from the seam on her lips. What I did here too was I just followed Jasmine's original to have a look at where she put the white. So pressing fairly hard with a sharp tip straight along the seam there, and just going directly over the line and slightly above and slightly below. Now that colour is quite strong and I put it on quite thick, so it's going to spread and I won't need much. I'm just going to come down here a little to the bottom of the lip. Now I shouldn't need any more than that, because blender here, I'm just to rub over that seam, and then if I just come down very gently, so I'm spreading that colour from, I meant to be spreading, there we go, spreading that colour from the seam of her lips down to the bottom. Now I'm just turning the pencil a bit because I don't want to work on the sharp point, I want to work on the slightly flattened edge of that, just to help it spread and to blend in a little bit more. Lopsided lips, we can fix that. And I'm just going to spread that up a little bit to the top edge of her lips, but I don't want to take it all the way because I do want a little white highlight there. Now her lips are kind of, well, not kind of, her lips are not symmetrical at all. And I'm thinking that she's got a bit of a sneer on her face because she's got an arched eyebrow and she's got the hand on the hip, so there might be a little bit of badass attitude in those lips too. Now you can see that that's not quite symmetrical, it's hard to tell because I'm colouring in sideways. So I'm just going to darken that side up a little bit just so that they match. Probably going to just add a touch more red there. I really don't like those two white blobs on there as much. But because of the way her face is drawn, her lips are drawn, they're so blobby, I think it needs them. Alright. Bring that in a bit. It's not going to go on real well now because I've been buffing it. Okay, we could play with this forever. If you have bigger lips or close-up lips, it's good to put a few stripes in them as well. Have a look on, don't look at mine, but have a look on YouTube for tutorials in colouring lips with coloured pencils. You'll get some really good ones. I'm just going to, I can just see here on the camera, that needs a bit darker just here, just to bring it down like that. Oh, now it's gone too far. Bring that one down a bit. It's got a big dark patch on it. Right. I'm going to stop screwing around with these and just leave them. Yeah, they're not symmetrical. I like symmetry. They're kind of all over the place, these ones, aren't they? They are better on my first one. Why does it look funny? I think it's because this one, if you look on the original at the line here, that line's really high and pointy, and this one's really rounded, so I don't think it's me, I think it's that print. So I'm just going to stop screwing with that now. Okay, that's everything done there. Next thing though is to go back. Now we're doing a lot of little areas at the moment, so we're going to be doing, I'm just going to put the camera back up. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. We're doing a lot of little areas. I'll just move that instead. So we're doing the flask and the sword, we're doing the buckles, the tattoos, don't worry about those, and the earring. And if you're like me, you've made a little bit of a mess. So just taking awesome rubber and cleaning that up a little bit. Just try and get as much of that stray colour off as you can. Check out these ones as well, because I was really messy there and I put green all over the, oh, you can't see that, sorry, green all over the flask. Don't know that it's going to come off though because the green's quite strong. Just clean up the sword, although don't worry too much with that because we're going to make that gold. The buckles are going to be a little bit tricky to clean up, so I might get the oh gosh, I might get the Mars razor onto those, although I'm not a great fan of this one. Yeah, the buckles on this one aren't too bad, they were pretty messy on the other. Just clean that off, and I'll try and get the green off the flask so it doesn't wreck it, because I'm just going to make a silver flask, so it's going to be quite pale around that area. And get the, sorry, just get the last little bit off that earring. Alright, that's done. Okay, let's start with some gold bits. Now, I am not the world's greatest gold colour, but I can probably get away with it just a little bit. I'm just going to move my... Alright, the latest on the table. I'm not the best at gold. I do understand the colours that need to be in gold, but the application is where I kind of mess up a bit. There are some really good tutorials for colouring gold. Basically, I'm going to use, what have we got here? This is Deco Yellow, so if you don't have the prisms, you're using a different brand, or you don't have a big range, you just want a really pale yellow. I've got Canary Yellow, which is actually quite a bright one, and then I've got Yellow Ochre, which is yellow with the tiniest hint of brown in it. And then I'm going with Light Umber, and as a standby I have the Dark Umber as well, just in case. Then sometimes, depending on what you're doing and how big the area is, you can put a little orange in the gold as well, in the shadow parts of it. So here's my bodgy way of doing gold. There will be people out there cringing and saying, oh my God, will you please stop? No, I won't. Here's me and my shitty gold. So I'm just going to base the earrings, the buckles on her thing. Didn't actually decide what this thing is called. Buckles. Going to go down here, do the buckle on the belt. And I'm doing this really heavy-handed, and I know in about 5 minutes I'm going to regret that. So I'll go lighter here. So the original is slightly different. I'm going to make the whole handle of this one gold. Alright, so that's all the yellows that we need. No, I'll leave the silver until afterwards. Alright, now I'm going to use the light umber to put in some shadows around her lips are annoying me. Shadows around the gold there. So she's got this gold hoop earring that, oh man, she's going to be sorry. She's going to snag her earlobe there with her hair all threaded through it. I hope it's an earring. She has to be an earring, right? She's a pirate. Let's just colour in here. So I'm going around the inside of the ring. I'm just darkening it there at the edge as well. Can you see that? Yes, you can. Now in the original it's got a line through it. I did do that when you showed this one, which is now getting squashed. It had a line down the middle of it. I'm really in two minds about that. I know it's meant to be another gold shadow, but I don't know that it actually works because I'm not that good at gold. So I may just leave. I'll put it in really lightly this time and see what happens. Just there. Oh no, you can't even see that on the video. How about that? Alright. Gold there. Okay, and then I'm just going to get the canary yellow, which is quite bright, and just put that on there too, just to gold it up a little. This is not perfect. This is about as far from perfect as you can get. Let me just grab a dark umber because I think that that's going to need just a little more. Need to be just a little bit darker there. And I might grab the blender and see if I can pull that umber out just a little bit. Alright, I don't love it. I should probably stop touching it. Maybe if we do it like the folds and just put a little brown around here too, because it is a curve. Oh, it's not going to work now because I've got way too many layers on. Let's just try that. I am going to finish this off with the Posca. Oh, that might be alright. Look at that. Stop touching it. Okay. These buckles are not gold, they're brass. Mind you, this is pretty much turned into brass as well. It's a bit dull. I'll think about that and I might come back to it. These buckles, all I'm going to do is just the very middle, and they've got that yellow coat on them anyway. I'm just going to put, with the light umber, just a little bit of shadow here on the side where the leather is curved over. And you can't even really see that there, can you? No, funny, you can't see that. That one's not showing up at all, I can see it. No, well, I don't know why this surprises me every time. Huh, funny. Okay, a little bit round there. I'm just going to go around the whole thing, I think. Just take the edge off the yellow because it is going to be, I guess, brass. I don't know if brass weathers or not. Now the buckle on her belt. These really don't need a lot of detail. You can put a bit of white on them in a little while. Just going to dull it down a tad. Alright, that'll do for me. Okay, now we're going over to the sword, and that handle, sorry, just trying to move that way you can see it. That handle is twisted a lot like the plait was. So just the littlest bit of shade. Don't want a lot now, because you want this to be a nice gold rather than the dull brass like was on her buttons. They're not buttons, they're buckles. Don't listen to me. I'm pretty sure my brain is just, you're on holidays now. I'm not working to full capacity. And I'm quite happy with that, because my brain's been working past full capacity for the last couple of months. Alright. It's come out a little bit further than I'd like, so I'm going to use a rubber in a minute and just rub that back. Going down here. Those will be like little ridges, I guess, but we don't want anything across the middle there, because that's where it's going to be a highlight. And I did it without thinking. Just added a little bit extra to those lines down on this part too. Going to go under here and just gently bring out a bit of a shadow. Always keep the edges of your shadows soft, unless you like them. Very distinctive. Alright, now the ball. I'm just going to go around the edge of the ball here and make it like a C shape, I guess. Leave it open at the top there and just bring that bottom one up. So you're looking to leave a nice circular area towards the top of the ball there. Going to grab the canary yellow and just go over where I did the shading, just to, I guess just to make it a bit gold as opposed to the brass. So I'm just going to come up here and going to leave that fairly plain across the centre. I want to rub out a little bit of brown here, because I think I brought out that shadow too far. That's better. And I might even just I might just freshen that point up a little bit. That's better. And I really just want to get into those little bits there, and then use the blender to pull those out, because I just want to create that depth like we did with her hair. And I've done it really messy. I'm just going to go along under those lines. Let's see if we can just tidy that up a bit with the blender. So you remember when we were doing these and we just went back over and in these little bits here, just darkened that up to add some depth. I just wanted to do that here in those bits. Not going to worry too much about that curly bit. Where was I? Canary yellow. I'm just going to, I want to leave it the lightest down the middle where the light would hit it. Make it shiny. How's that? Like I said, I'm not the greatest at gold, so this is just my way of doing it. Someone else might have some better tips for you. Let's just see what happens if you put a little bit of orange in this one. I might grab the, that one's too red. Where's my oranges gone? There he is. Okay. I'll just try a little bit of orange in there and see what happens. Yeah, it's alright. A bit up there with the ball. Basically where the shadows are, I just add a little bit of orange. Might even go back and do this on her earring. That might save the earring a bit. How about that? I know you can't tell a great deal. And we don't want to have too much orange on there because of her hair. Although it could be her hair reflecting on there, couldn't it? She's got pretty radioactive coloured hair. I'm just going to try a little bit of that. No, I'm really not happy with that earring, so I'm just going to freshen up the razor which is this statler thing. Might be hard enough to just rub through the middle there. Oh yeah. Just like that. And then I can put a little bit brighter yellow in there just to make sure that it's gold. You can feel, I know that you can't, but you might be able to hear the difference. This, excuse me, my voice is going again. This is actually really rough on the paper. I mean, as good as it is for cleaning up emergency stuff, it's not really that great on the paper. Might be better on a higher quality, but that's sort of like my emergency. You screwed it up, now you've got to fix it. Rubber. Okay, I'm just going to leave that now, and I'm going to use the Posca to make that a bit rounder. So we've got the eyes, we've got the lips, we've got the earring, we've got the brass buckles, we've got the handle of the sword. I'm going to go back to the top and try and be systematic because I am jumping all over the place here, but that's how I roll. Okay, we've got a couple of beads there in her hair. They're very, very small, so it's not a lot unless you really want to get in there with very sharp pencils. I'm just going to not outline, but just going inside the edge, just in a circle around the edge with the spring green, and then I'm going to get the peacock green, which was what I had originally planned, and I think I did deepen the shadows on her clothes with that. So I'm just going to go again just inside that line, and you're leaving a white circle in the middle, and there's a bead, and just inside the line again is another bead. Now we probably won't even need any Posca highlights on that. That's pretty much okay as it is, I think. Now while I've got the peacock in my hand, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go straight over these little ribbons. I assume it's ribbon. If not, I've just made it a ribbon. So I know you can't see them because they sort of blend in with the black, but what we do then, well, I won't do it yet, but we're going to just add a tiny little bit of Posca in there at the end, white Posca. And I've just realised I forgot, that was clever, I forgot, and I might just put in, I just picked up, well, I don't know what I was going to pick up, the yellow ochre. I forgot to do the little flappy, pinny, sticky thing in those belts. Okay, that's done. So, just checking from the top down, we've done eyes, we've done lips, we've done beads, we've done buckles. The eyelets on here, I am cheating, and I'm going to use, at the end, I'm going to use the gold Posca for those, because I don't know about you, but I couldn't be asked trying to get a pencil into that tiny little space. Next thing is, let's do those tattoos. Now, in the book, the tattoos are actually done in a henna, like you might get around Eid or Diwali or any of those celebration times where the girls get those beautiful, beautiful designs on their hands. So you could go with the henna colour. The mahogany from the lips could work as well, but I'm sticking with the grey because I am a sucker for a nice grayscale tattoo. So there's a rope up here, I'm just going to fill that. Down here goes through the anchor. Now these are going to be really simple, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go, make sure that's really sharp though. This sharpness is just about how I'd say. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to go inside the lines. So just like I was shading something, like what was I shading? I don't know. Okay, any shading, anything like these folds, whatever. So where you go along the line and you just soften it as you come in. So we're not actually looking to create depth because remember this is just a drawing on her arm. So we're just doing what the tattooist would have done with a lot less pain and certainly a lot cheaper. So just going to go inside each. I can't even see this. I still got to get my eyes checked. Okay. I look on the screen. That looks completely different again. No, I shouldn't be surprised by now, but I am. Just going to darken on that side. Alright, that'll do for the anchor. Now the octopus. I've been saving up this octopus for so long. Alright, same thing again. Just going to go inside the lines, but I'm not going to draw inside the lines like that. Just going to make sure. Friggin' neighbours, really. Just inside the line. I spoke too soon this morning when I said it was nice and quiet because the neighbours from hell are home today. Yep, there's the big one. And any minute he'll piss off the little one and the little one will start screeching. And that's with my door shut. Alright, back at these tentacles. Then when Mum's had enough, Mum will start screaming at those kids as well. Or if we're really lucky, she'll take her phone and she'll sit outside and have a really loud conversation for a couple of hours, and it's so loud that you can actually hear the person on the other end of the phone talking to. Alright, round the head. Aren't I a horrible bitch? Really. But I'm not paid to deal with kids in the holidays. Just the luck of the draw with neighbours, I guess. When you live in apartments, you just have to suck it up. There's random circles here, so just gonna trace them and just lighten them. I'm sort of just going around in a spiral and lightening the pressure as I get towards the centre, just to soften that. And there's little suckers here as well. Now I really feel like colouring in a big octopus. I know that in one of the Jasmine books, on one of those pages that has the 4 pictures together, there's one with an octopus. I don't know why though, I've only ever done one of those pages with the 4 on it. I don't know why, isn't that funny? And the only time I did that was when I was doing like, when I was really lazy and asked the group to pick the page for me. And someone picked that page and then someone else said do it in autumn colours. So I did each of the 4 boxes in a different colour. Yeah, I really like that tattoo. Guess who's getting an octopus tattoo next? Alright. That one's done. Okay, now I've got the dark grey. This is the 70% cool grey. The hilt of the sword is going to be silver. So just putting a shadow underneath where the sticky outy part goes. Just bring that shadow down a little bit and more on that line because the sword is 2 flat pieces there that are sort of angled. Just lighten that off a little bit, although you don't have to worry too much about having a solid line there with that sword because it is going to cast a fairly definite shadow being silver. The only other thing for the sword then is to pick up a light grey, so this is 20% cool grey, and just fill in the rest of that, but really gently so that you don't drag the other grey out too much. And so we've got a really quick silver sword. Now this little flask is going to be silver as well. So the whole thing in light grey. I'm just leaving that skull white. I'll just show you the original one, not the original, but the other one here. So I've left the skull white and I've just done the flask around it. I did add a little bit of Posca though for where I went messy and went out the lines. I'm just going to give that a quick coat. Now, 2 things. we need a darker grey, we need a black, and then we need a light brown for the top of the bottle, which is actually like a cork, because you really want to access your rolls fairly quickly. You don't want to mess around with a screw top. So let's just put a little, you can't see it there because it's too tiny, sorry. But I'm just going around the outside and leaving the centre. Then the black is because this bit here, this line, that's actually a strap from her belt. So we technically probably should have done that when we're doing the belt. So I'm just putting a little bit of black at either end, and I'm not colouring in the middle because I'm going to use the blender to drag that black in, which will give us a little bit of shade. Now to colour in the flask, what we're going to do is about 2 millimetres in from the edge, just mark off a shape like that. You see that? Yes, you can. And then just shade a little bit inside that. So you're leaving the outside in that lighter grey, and you just bring that up here. And what that's going to do is to help you give the curve of the surface of that flask. And that's a little darker than I wanted, but I can fix that. And the top here, I'm just going to go a little bit darker under the cork area, and then just bring that down. I'm not going to mess around too much with the detail there. I know that doesn't look completely awesome yet, but give it a minute. Checking, we've got all of that stuff. We've got all of that and all of that. Looks like we are seconds away from finished. But I'm most likely going to talk so much it won't be seconds. Sorry. Blender. What did I say I was going to do with the blender? Oh, I didn't. But just going around the lightest part there, and then over the darkest part, and just soften that off towards the centre. So there's the flask. So on the top, just give it a little blend. Now, wiping that off. The black here on the leather, just draw it into the middle a little bit, and then you can see that just that little white spot there just gives you the little shine to say, hey, look, that's curved. Clean off your blender again because that's going to have collected some black on it. And over to the sword, just want to mix in this grey that we've done. I want that in a very definite line down the middle to show that the sword is sort of faceted. Speaking of faceted, boy do I suck at gemstones lately. I've done one that I was really happy with, but I've lost my gemstone. I can't do them anymore. Just blending this darkness here, the shadows, into the lighter areas just to soften them up just a touch. Alright, that bit's done. Just going to go over the buckles just because I can. That's over these ones, just really quick. Beads I'm not going to touch because I'm happy with those. Earrings done. I know you can't tell me if I've missed anything, but have I missed anything? I don't think so. So what I'm going to do now is the last little bit with gold Posca first. Gold Posca is going to go right here on these. Oh, friggin' hell. Fuck that. Just in a C shape around the ribbon. Don't screw it up like I just did. Remember how we darkened it before when we were doing the leather here? So now that we've got these in there and they've got that darker black area around it, it helps to look like they're sort of recessed into the leather just a little bit. I'm glad you guys can't see what I just did on there because seconds from the end and I've smudged freaking gold Posca all over it. But, oh yes, the blender of champions that scrapes it off. White Posca. Give it a shake and a press, make sure it's working. White Posca is going to go. Hopefully you can see everything I'm doing here, sorry. White Posca is going to go just here on the top of the ball. Wow, that really stands out on the camera, doesn't it? Okay. let me just, whenever I use Posca, while it's wet, I like to dab it because it usually softens up where I put it. And I'm going to put just in the centre of these, just a little dab there, and again that looks very stark against the yellow, so I'm just going to go like that. And also just here, and again I'm going to just use my finger to smear the ends out just a touch, and maybe one bit there and one bit there, maybe just another bit there, and maybe a bit here. On the metals, you don't really need to blend it so much because they do have very defined lights. Now, because I made a mess and the bits of the bone on this, what do you call it, this little skull and crossbones here, because it got grey all over it, because I'm messy as, I'm just going to clean that with a Posca so it looks like I didn't make a huge big mess of it. And then back around the outside of the skull. This is where I usually screw the whole thing up. And then I just not touch that much more because it's really only a small detail. I will, however, just put the tiniest bit of white Posca here in the corners, and then dab that off a bit. Okay, little bit of white here. Time for a new one. Oh gosh, that's bright on there, isn't it? Maybe just a little bit there. I'll do. Up here on the ones that are up the top, let's say a little dash there, maybe like that. You put them, I'm not sure where you could put them. I'm sure that there's technically a place where you've got to put them and someone's watching this and going, you idiot, they don't go there. Goes right, please. If you wanted to, you could put like a little bit of white on the edge of those, but that would just be nitpicky. It would just make the eyelets have a little bit of a metal shine to them, but I think I'm just tracing this and nothing's happening. Okay, now the next bit that I want to do is just where these ribbons cross over here, I just want to put the littlest bit of Posca on there, and then I'm going to let that dry and chisel away at it a bit. Maybe just a dot on the bead, like that. Not like that. Not like that at all. Why did that happen? And that kid next door, lucky he doesn't celebrate Christmas because there's no way Santa would be coming to him. Next bit is this earring. We're just going to put, and this doesn't really need to be blended off because it's a metal. So I'm just going to put, oh sorry, I turned that right the way around. Just putting that little bit of white there, and in theory that gives you a shiny. I keep getting it wrong. Lucky. Let me try that one more time. That'll do. Okay. Now, eyes. There are a few different ways you can do the highlights and the eyes on these things. Let me show you with the, no, some colour that's dark enough for you to see. I've scribbled all over this paper. I think it might be time for a new one. So you have the eyes like that, and they're usually inside a shape like this, yeah? You can see that I'm not much good at drawing. Alright, so we do have the one where where it has that nice curve of highlight through there. So when I do that, I just pick my start point and my end point and think about where I want the top of the curve to go. So probably just over the pupil, I guess. I don't know if there's a rule for this, but anyway, and just do it all in one sweep like that. I then like to put a big dot and a small dot on either side of the iris as well. Another way you do this, I've noticed, is that there's a triangular bit of shade that's a bit like that, comes from the pupil. So I just use the, pretend this is a Posca, I just use the Posca and sometimes the Lumicolour, and I'll just do it like that out of the eye, probably not that far, because that's, unless you wanted to have tears, then you could have it that far. So maybe just to the bottom edge of the eyelid. The other thing you can do, eyes, there's an eye, is that you can just, let me just use a different colour just to distinguish that. So there's the pupil in the middle, right? Yeah, look at me using all those authentic colours. The other bit would just be a big dot here. I like to do it just sort of overlapping the iris, and then a little dot there. So it's up to you. I'm going to do this one on this pirate, even though I think that her eyes are probably a little too narrow for it. But Nikki, you asked for eye highlights, so I'm going to whack this one in for you. I hope this is what you meant. Alright, now I've got Oscar. I'm just going to have this one go, that little, oh, I don't know what the frig that is, that's like a little wedgy thing there in the corner of the eye, to over there, and I want this black line to just partially go through the bottom of the iris. So just, I guess basically you're just visualising that line, and you've got to do it in one quick swoop, and that's it. So line it up in the same place. You can see it ended right there, and it ended a couple of mil from the corner of her eye. So again, and it went just over the bottom edge of the pupil. There we go. So there's two shiny eyes. I'm also going to add, just because I like it, a big dot there, and a little dot there, and a big dot there, and a little dot there. Don't ask me why, because I've got no idea, I just do that. Alright, so there's her eyes. We could put some on her mouth as well, but I don't know, maybe just a little bit there, and then just pull it down and smudge it a bit. No. Get that off. This is a cool thing about Poscas, you can just rub it off. I'm not touching her mouth anymore. It's a funky shape on the page, so I just like people to note that I didn't draw the mouth. That's wonkalated on the page already. And we're done. Let me just move this up a bit and we'll see if we can see the whole thing. Alright, get these out of the way. And I'm sure I've forgotten something. Yes, I did. See, I knew I'd forget something. Doing that. Alright, these bits here on the ribbons, I just want to really thin the, I really just want to thin those down a little bit, because they're just meant to be a highlight where the light, where the light catches ribbon, and I'm actually like completely rubbing little shits off. So I'm just going to leave that. What you could do, if you wanted to, if you cared enough, would be to put like a little piece, a little tiny bit of Lumicolour over there. I don't even know if it's going to show up on the camera. Little bit. Alright, I'm going to try and turn this around and then adjust the camera so you can see. Please hold. I have to work out where this menu is. View, rotate, we want to go that way. Why do I want to rotate? Well, that's stupid. Alright, it doesn't want to rotate because it's a bit of a bitch. So you can either tilt your head, or I can't get the whole thing for some reason, it just won't do it anymore. Alright, anyway, she's done, so let's pan, let's do like some really artistic panning down the picture. Look at this. Insert some really swelling sort of classical music as we go. Look, hair's done, face is done, clothes are done, body's done, flask and sword. We're done. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining in for all of that. The finished picture is actually on the Facebook group. I did put a copy of the other one up. Thanks so much for all the feedback too, for everybody who's been commenting. It's been really cool. So I'm going to just go and do some cooking for Christmas, and then I think I might start something with those $2 pencils. Have a great day tomorrow, guys, if you're celebrating Christmas. If not, have a happy Sunday, and I'll catch you all later. See ya.